Hello my lovely friends, here we are, back with a what I wore last week that is actually genuinely what I wore last week, and not the full month, because I'm back as promised. Oh goodness, I'm just looking at how dusty this is, oh dear. Alright, so, I'm obsessed with this perfume and I love it. This romped its way into my top 20 for life, possibly at this point my top 10 for life. I talk about it quite a lot, so I don't need to go on too long. This is the glorious babe that is Mediterranean from Elizabeth Arden. It's a bit polarising actually, this one. I think that the people who like it are as obsessed with it as I am. And some people just don't like it at all. I know someone who watches my channels has commented and says that she finds it really metallic on her skin. I don't get that from this at all. But I do think though that this one maybe goes off if you don't use it a lot, because I feel the vintage bottles of this all smell really weird and peppery and strange whenever I used to try and buy them secondhand. But this is a fresh new one. It's so deliciously beautiful. It's powdery, also weirdly slightly aquatic. I find that there's a tiny hint of something ever so salty, but very gently, because I'm very fussy about salt. It's floral and it's fruity. It's got a little bit of everything. The notes are plum, mandarin, peach in the top, wisteria, magnolia and orchid in the mid, base notes musk, sandalwood and amber. And it's got this kind of sea breeze quality to it. I think it's like some kind of nectar and some kind of sorbet, and it's a special kind of plum. But the wisteria is so magical. I love wisteria and I love lilac and I love those kind of powdery purple florals. Just truly one of my absolute all-time faves. Let's push you over to there, my babe. Let's just make sure that this is in focus and looking beautiful. Oh, talking about beautiful. Oh my goodness. Let me just spray this out real quick because you can't really smell it from the sprayer. Ooh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is Lolita Lempicka. This is an EDT. You can see it's got like a bite taken out the side of this bottle. I think the original version of this bottle was like embossed, but the later ones are painted with Lolita Lempicka. Oh my goodness. What an absolute beaut. So this is Lolita Lempicka Le Premier Parfum Eau de Toilette Monsieur d'Amour, which I think means love bite. So it's basically the EDT version of the original Lolita Lempicka, and look, it's so cute. It's like I don't know if you can see, it's like a little heart shape. It's so pretty. It's magical and perfect and delicious. I talked a lot, and to be honest, I did wear it on the same day that I was filming, so I did technically wear the Forbidden Flower one, the Fleur de Fondue in the yellow bottle. I did wear that again this week, but because I talked for such a long time about that last week, it seemed insane to talk about it again. But I did wear this one too, because this was one of my weeks where I think once a month, pretty much, I use the Lush purple shampoo and conditioner, Daddy-O shampoo, ultraviolet conditioner to tone my hair, because I have very, very, very dark brown hair, but with a lot of white hairs as well. So I'm kind of grey at this point. So it just tones it, takes out any brassiness. And so when I've used that, because it smells kind of violety and a bit sweet and also slightly green, I tend to wear violet perfumes on those weeks. So I wore this one, and the notes are almond, cherry, vanilla, amalfi, lemon and apricot in the top. The mid notes are iris, licorice and jasmine. The base notes violet leaf, incense and musk. And interestingly though, it starts off way sharper and less fluffy than Fleur de Fondue, but the dry down is the same kind of essence. I feel like Fleur de Fondue is almost like this exact perfume, but with mimosa and loads of almond mixed in, like a way creamier almond than in here. But this one's a bit sharper, it's a bit crisper, it's a bit fresher, but it still has the essence of Lolita Lempicka. It's so lovely. I just love this perfume. I'm just looking at my stuff and working out where I'm going to put things to make sure I've got room, because I've got a couple of big boys this time round. I think I'll be alright. Yeah. This baby's going to go up here. Just absolutely gorgeous. Alright. So then, oh yeah, this is so random. I just so got the urge to wear this, and I'm not sure why. I normally wear this in colder weather, and it's not that, because actually I wore this on a day when it was a bit chilly, because currently I'm wearing my summer perfumes, because it's 23 degrees in my flat on Saturday when I'm filming this, and it was very hot last night. We're having another little hot snap. But last weekend it was a bit more chilly, it wasn't so warm, and I just was craving this. Again, let me just spray this out. It's such a beast though. It is to me anyway. Oh my goodness. This Lanvin Oxygene. Look at that bottle. Oh my goodness. Oh my, see, I shouldn't have sprayed it in a 23-degree house. Woohoo! This is the original lactonic floral musk. You know, like, we've got Blanche Bette and everyone's crazy for it. I'm not saying this smells like Blanche Bette, it really doesn't at all. But it's kind of, how would I even explain Oxygene? I always say it smells like a spa, because I do think there's something about this that has a very kind of cooling, calm, spa-like quality. But it is a lactonic, musky, iris sandalwood with a lot of sugary sweetness that I don't think smells like vanilla. There's also gardenia in this, and you can smell that. I think that's part of what's making this kind of creamy as well. It's not quite body lotiony, but I think it does smell like a bar soap. But there's something so magical about this, but it is quite beast mode. I only put a couple of sprays on that I kind of spread around, you know, between my wrists and my neck. And it's so lovely. I love Oxygene. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful perfume. So the notes in Oxygene by Lanvin are Indian white pepper and bergamot in the top, mid notes of milk, gardenia and rose, base notes musk, iris and white sandalwood. It is incredibly affordable. And it always looks like I've never touched this, because there's a lot of bottle underneath this. This is a 75ml. But yeah, I love this perfume. I think it's delicious. You can see there's a bit more of a dent when I turn it upside down. But it is absolutely lovely. I love the bottle. I think it's so stylish. I'm actually going to move these around a little bit. I'm going to put you over here, my darling. I'm going to keep you blue boys together. Oh, both so affordable. Both you can get in the UK for around £20. That's a 100ml bottle, that's 75. I mean, amazing. They're just wonderful. All right. Where am I going next? Ooh, a big boy. So you might have seen I gave my 30ml bottle of this to the lovely Danielle from my perfume journal. So I'm using this big bottle I've got. And actually this time round I finished off my rollerball as well. So it's just magical, and if you can still get this, you should get it before it's gone forever. Another one I'm going to spray out. Oh wow, it's just a Barbie pink bottle of perfection. So that's Stella Pop. This is the original Stella Pop. It's always hard to decide how much I'm going to try and blind you with this bottle, because you want to see it's pink. I'm just going to have to leave it in that blinding, glaring way, but it's so lush. It's so interesting, because this is a very girly smelling perfume to me. It smells pink, it smells girly, it's like fun. That's the thing that's joyous about it to me. It's like joyous fun. But it's slightly interesting as well, because it has tomato leaf. I love tomato leaf in perfumes. Some of my signature scents have had, well, quite a few of them actually have had tomato leaf. And so it gives this kind of interesting underlying tone to this perfume that stops it smelling just like a basic pink kind of fruity floral. It's so special, but it does have that dull, heady, plasticky smell. So if you don't like that, then maybe don't go for that one. If you see Stella Pop Bluebell and you prefer like a sharper floral without so much of the dull, heady smell, then I'd say the Bluebell is a safer bet. But personally, the Bluebell is like okay to me. This one, the original, is magic. So this is top notes of tomato leaf, green mandarin and violet leaf. Again, I was wearing it on my violet days. Tuberose, frangipani and violet in the middle, and then base notes of musk, sandalwood and cedar. It is fabulous. I loved every moment of wearing it. It's gorgeous. I wore it to work. Absolutely spectacular perfume. Absolutely tragic that it has been discontinued. But that's the world we live in. They love discontinuing their really interesting and good perfumes. Okay, speaking of which, another discontinued, I'm sorry to say, I've got 4 discontinued perfumes here. I wasn't doing this deliberately. It's probably just because a lot of things I like get discontinued. That's just how it seems to work. This one is sort of a freshie, but I found it a little bit, I think sultry is the word I'm going to say. So this is another Lolita Lempicka. I wore a lot of Lolita Lempicka this week. I'm just in that kind of fairy tale-y mood, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So this is Lolita Lempicka Elle Lame Edition d'été. There's a lot of words. But it's basically the summer edition of Elle Lame. Although to me, it smells more like the summer edition of Elle Lame à la Folie, because I feel like this is a more ylang ylang heavy version of that Elle Lame, which I think is maybe a little bit more jasmine. So this has got mandarin, orange and lemon leaf in the top, mid notes of ylang ylang and jasmine, but the base notes are myrrh, sandalwood and amber. So it has this kind of, I don't quite want to say waxy, because that's not what I'm trying to say, but there is a warm, spicy dry down here. Even though it's light, you start off with the mandarin and the lemon leaf, so it's quite bitter, it's a little bit sharp, it's very citrusy. And then that ylang ylang shines through, and then you get this warmth from that myrrh in the base. There's definitely a bit of amber. It's not quite as ambery as the other LMs. But that myrrh is such an interesting thing to have in the bottom, and that's what I mean. It's like got this kind of hot, sultry night smell to it. So I was actually wearing this around the house on a hot day, and I was thinking to myself, I feel like this is like a hot weather evening scent, or an out the house in warm weather scent, because it's kind of fresh, but it's also not a classic freshie, in that it doesn't dry down to be soapy. It dries down to be, maybe waxy is the word. It's just got this texture to it. Oh, by the way, I'm sure you guys already watch it, but if you haven't already seen it, Claire Smith just did an awesome video about the textures in perfumes, and I am really sensitive to the textures in perfumes, so I think that's a really interesting video. But yeah, this one definitely has something of a texture to it, and a warmth, and a slight almost spicy feel. It's really, really pretty. But yeah, I think this is not one for me bumming around the house in hot weather. This is me dressed up for the evening in the summer, or maybe off out to work just on a warm day. So this one though, there is such a magic to this. I've only seen a couple of other people ever talking about this. It's one of my more pricey perfumes, although of course I did get it on eBay. A partial bottle, but to be honest, they'd obviously just sprayed it and decided they didn't like it. So this was pretty much full when I got this, and I have managed to put a tiny dent in it. Oh, there's just something so good about this. This is Tocca. This is Lucia, or Lucia. It's got this kind of slightly green coloured awesome liquid. So pretty. Now then, this is a fig perfume, but it's also very tangy because it's got loads of citruses in the top. And then it's got a lot of greenness. There is a little bit of a salty touch. And then it's got this amazing dry down that has a sweet tobacco. And it's that kind of tobacco that doesn't smell dry. It's almost like that sticky sweet tobacco smell. It's so lovely. And this is one where I spray it on, I'm like, woo, zingy and fresh. And then it dries down and gets increasingly just comfortable and comforting. It's just lovely. I really enjoyed wearing this. I'm on a bit of a loving fig perfume thing at the moment. But it's so lovely, this one. I have a few Toccas, and I think this one might be my favourite, actually. I'm just thinking. I do love Simone, but I only like that in quite hot weather, otherwise it goes a bit shampooey. But this one, Lucia, is magic. I've said before, and I know that some people massively disagree with me because I've checked for Fragrantica, there's something about the profile of this that reminds me a little bit of Moonlight in Heaven and other perfumes that have that kind of Kilian Moonlight in Heaven general profile. It weirdly makes me think of that, but then the more it dries down, the more it turns into its own thing. But it has this kind of comforting, tangy, almost a kind of creaminess, which I think is from the fig. But the notes here in Lucia are C notes, lemon, mandarin, orange and grapefruit in the top. Mid notes are fig, fig tree, rosewater and geranium in the mid. Base is fig tree, vetiver, cedarwood and tobacco. The vetiver isn't too strong here. If I get too much vetiver in a perfume, then generally speaking I won't be able to wear it because it will turn too masculine on me. And I love CK Gold. That's a fig and vetiver perfume pretty much. I gave that to my husband. He smells amazing in it. But on me, it just felt a bit too masculine. But this one, this is really special and beautiful. And I really enjoyed wearing this. It's so lush. I wore it to work. It's really lovely. My Mon Guerlain of the week. I went for this one this time. And this is really because I think this is just one that I'm thinking I'll just use up, you know, because this is just a 30ml bottle and there's only a little bit left. So this is Mon Guerlain, the EDT, Mon Guerlain. I say it all the time and yet I'm never sure I actually say it properly, but I'm very not French, so, you know, please forgive me. The EDT also discontinued, but in my humble opinion, I don't think this is anything as nice as the normal EDP. But it is brighter, it is fresher, it's more zingy, it's more citrusy. It's not as creamy, but it's just as sweet, if that makes sense. Because this has lavender, mandarin, orange, bergamot in the top. It's got jasmine, sambac, orange blossom and ylang ylang in the mid. It's got Tahitian vanilla, caramel, orris, violet and benzoin in the base. So it still has a warm, sweet dry down. This is not one I wore on like a really hot day. This was one where it was just mild. And that caramel really comes through, but you don't have that creamy vanilla tonka thing that you've got going on in the original. It's not as thick, so it is better than the EDP for warmer weather, but it's definitely not my favourite because, again, it's missing those interesting elements that you get in the original. It hasn't got that licorice-y feel to it, which I love. But it is still very beautiful. I'm happily using it up. It's just not my favourite from the line because my favourite for warmer weather from this line is the Sparkling Bouquet, which I just love. So yeah, but it's really delicious. It still is very tasty. And then, let me just move these up a little bit. Are they still in frame? Yeah, plenty of space. So this weird little baby, oh, I was just thinking to myself, I haven't worn this for so long and I thought I was going to test it out. Also because I've really gone off, not cherry, I'm still loving cherry, but I've gone off berry smells. I've gone off like raspberries and blackberries, you know, when it's like a kind of sweet berry perfume, I've kind of gone off them a bit. I'm kind of, I don't know. This year, I'm not a berry girl, but I was wanting to see whether this could get me back into it because this is cherry and raspberry, I think, if I remember correctly. This is So Sweet from Lolita Lempicka, one you can still get, thankfully not discontinued on this occasion. And So Sweet is literally, it is so sweet, it's so cute. It's not the same kind of syrupy sweetness that you get in the original Sweet from Lolita Lempicka, but it's fresher, it's brighter, it's more zingy, it's more sherbety is the word I'd use for this. So this one's top notes of raspberry leaf, sour cherry, mandarin, orange in the top, but then in the mid, this gives it a kind of almost powdery makeup-y feel. Iris, rose and angelica, which is fabulous. And then base, musk, cashmere and amberwood. This is light, it's sweet, it's pretty, it's girly. My husband made a little sound when he was sniffing this one. It's really cute. I enjoyed wearing it. I didn't regret putting it on. It was, I think it's because there's enough cherry to balance out the raspberry, but I do almost feel like the raspberry is a little bit stronger than the cherry here. It's almost got that feel at first of like sour Haribos, but like in a very sugary way. It's really cute. A very pretty perfume, not particularly long lasting, but very, again, really kind of fun and girly, almost a bit fizzy, just really pretty. So, the last things to talk about. Alright, one that I sprayed on my hand. I tested out, went to store and tested out the new Lush body spray that's in collaboration with How to Train Your Dragon. Because, oh my god, I love the cartoons. I should say animations, shouldn't I? I love How to Train Your Dragon. I I think those are some of the most beautiful animated films I've ever seen. They always make me cry. I've rewatched them many times. They're so beautiful and emotional, and Toothless is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. And, you know, there's nothing that destroys me more than films where two people, two friends can't be together. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's just absolutely soul destroying. But anyway, I'm totally going to cut all that out. Lush have a body spray called Hiccup. So I went to try that. I couldn't really smell much from the bottle, so I actually sprayed it out. I sprayed it onto my hand. I ended up having to spray it onto my palm because I had perfume on. But I'm just going to click on what I wrote down because I wrote this while I was on my way home while I was sniffing it. So, it's a woody scent with bergamot. Kind of suits the vibe of the film, but I wouldn't particularly want to wear it myself. So, they've only specifically mentioned that there's bergamot and sugarcane in this particular, and wood, and they've said like wood, but they haven't been specific about it. And you can smell those things. There is a little bit of a sweetness once it dries down, but it's very kind of bergamot and wood at first, to the point where it's a little bit maybe like a kind of polished wood. Not 100% furniture polish, but maybe a tiny bit. But the more it dried down, the more that it kind of reminded me a little bit of something that's in Elphaba. So that one is like a green woody vanilla, whereas this one's kind of a green woody citrus. There is a sweetness from the sugarcane, definitely, and it definitely gets nicer as it dries down. But it's almost like a kind of much more masculine leaning take on the woods from Elphaba. So I didn't find it massively interesting. I wouldn't personally wear it myself. I decided not to buy it, even though I really love those films. And I was thinking, you know, it's one of those things again with Lush where I'm like, I feel like there has been an opportunity missed here because, I mean, something fiery maybe, something spicy or something with some heat, just because, you know, you've got fire-breathing dragons, which is super cool. And then obviously the wood makes sense, but maybe something that feels almost Viking-y, or as most people are in it, something Scottish. Like, does heather have a scent? Like, yeah, it would have been cool to have something just a little bit more interesting. I don't know. Tell me actually if you're a Lushy and you recognise the scent, because quite often with these things, Lush just use scents that already exist in their other products, and they just put them in. So this might just be something that I've smelt, that I haven't smelt myself, but exists already. But yeah, it wasn't that I didn't like it. I was just like, it just wasn't interesting enough to want to buy it. So yeah, I was kind of like, all right. And then while I was in Superdrug, I went in and they had all of the Dolce & Gabbana Dolce perfumes. So I was just interested to smell the things I hadn't smelt before, purely because I've never liked one of the Dolce perfumes, and I was just like, it's just interesting. I'm just trying to see if they'll ever make one that I like. So they had the pink one called Dolce Lily, which was the most boring of the batch to me. It was an extremely generic smelling fruity floral that just, again, was kind of screechy, and I didn't love it. It was quite sweet, but it was quite light as well, this one. It kind of disappeared really quickly. So Dolce Lily is passion fruit, lemon, bergamot, mid notes of rose, pink lily, and base notes of musk, sandalwood, and vanilla. So yeah, Dolce Lily, it didn't really do anything for me, and the more it dried down, the more screechy it got, which actually, to be honest, is the same with all of these. Dolce Violet, I can still smell this one a tiny bit. So it's quite fruity. I would say it's very light on the violet to my nose. This is cassis, cyclamen, and mandarin orange in the top, and then the mid notes are blackcurrant, violet, and pear, and then the base notes musk, Madagascar, vanilla, and sandalwood. So Dolce Violet was nicer at first. I thought it was quite pretty. To be honest, it's not a million miles away from the one that I've got that's called, although it's probably a bit sweeter in the opening, the Ted Baker W that I have. It's that same kind of thing. It's like very fruity, slightly sheer, got a little bit of sweetness, and then there's a kind of a hint of violet in there, but it's kind of more about just the general floral smell and the fruity smell. Yeah, but then it gets more shampooey and screechy and boring as it dries down. And by the time like I smelt it a few hours after I'd sprayed it on here, I was like, nope, nope, it's all sharp and screechy again. Dolce and Gabbana use the same screechy aroma chemical in most of their perfumes, as far as I can tell. So that was no good. And then the one that I thought was the most interesting, and I was very confused when I looked at the notes of this, and I'm confused because of what it's called as well. Dolce Blue Jasmine. I think I don't know what I was writing there. Did I write Blue Violet or Blue Lily or something? Anyway, Dolce Blue Jasmine. This one, the notes are top notes of fig, mid notes of jasmine, and base notes of cedarwood. But weirdly, it smelled like coconut to me. It smelled like a fruity, juicy coconut. And not in the same yogurty way that I get in Dolce Garden. But I mean, the jasmine came out more as it dried down, because it started to smell more like a kind of just generic floral perfume. But still, there's something in here, and it must be the fig, because I do think sometimes that when people argue about perfume smelling like coconut, I think sometimes there is fig in there, and I feel like fig just sometimes comes across coconutty. There must be a certain type of compound, maybe one made by a certain company, where the fig is just a bit coconutty. But yeah, it really smelled kind of coconut, and I was kind of digging this one at first. I thought, oh my god, is there actually a Dolce that I like? And not only is it one that I like, but it's called Dolce Jasmine, which seems like a very unusual thing for me to like, because jasmine is often something I don't like at all. But yeah, the more it dried down, the more shampooey it got, the more screechy it got. That sweetness kind of started to go away a little bit. But yeah, that was definitely the most interesting of the three. But I have to say, as per usual, Dolce & Gabbana, I just still haven't found a single perfume of theirs that I actually like. I do keep trying though. Whenever I see them and there's a tester, I will always test them out and see what I think. But yeah, I think, guys, that is this week. Yeah, what a nice week. I don't think I wore anything that I didn't like this week. No, I thought it was all absolutely delicious. And then obviously I wore my fleur de fondue as well. I think I'm probably not saying that right, but I don't care. My delicious forbidden flower from Lolita Lempicka. I've got some cool stuff coming hopefully today. Some cheapies from Amazon. So hopefully I'll be able to show you a bunch of cool new cheapies soon. Please do look out on my eBay. I am selling stuff on there. As I get time, I'm adding a few more things in. There's a whole bunch of declutter videos that are going to be coming up. I can't for the life of me remember what I've put up for this Wednesday, but whatever it is, I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you've got any of these. Let me know what you've been wearing this week. If you're not subscribed, you know what I'm going to say, it really helps me. Please do consider subscribing if you like my videos and you like my channel. And apart from that, guys, I hope you've all had a really nice week. Ooh, hello. I was hating how my hair looked. I thought I was starting to look like a swamp witch, so I've just cut my hair to kind of shoulder length. But the only problem is it's so blooming hot at the moment that I'm kind of regretting this, because I just sort of want it out of my face. But you know, it'll grow out and it'll be a perfect length in a couple of weeks. So, all right. On that completely random point, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next Sunday. Bye, my lovelies.